Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today, inshallah, I shall talk about the first of the conic sections that we shall encounter in this chapter, and it is none other than our old friend, the parabola. And if you recall, and I'm sure you do, from our prior discussions, we have learned three ways of writing functions, parabolic functions, and this is the standard form, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And this is the vertex form, y equals a times quantity x minus vx squared plus vy, and also the x-intercept form as it is written over here. Now, as you also know, we affectionately call the vertex like this, vx, that's our terminology, vy, that's the ordered pair that corresponds to the vertex of the parabola. Now, the conic sections that we shall encounter in this chapter are going to be defined. They in fact have specific definitions, and to understand the definition of a parabola we have to learn a couple of new terms in this chapter. The first new term that we have to learn is this point right here in the middle of the parabola, and this is the focus of the parabola. Okay, and then there's another term that we have to learn, and that is, it's a line called the Directrix, which is on this side of the parabola, like this. So Directrix is on the outside of the parabola, like this, and the focus is on the inside of the parabola, like over here. Now, let me write the Directrix. It's supposed to be parallel over here. Directrix like this. So focus and directrix. Now we can define a parabola. See, a parabola is a set of all points such that, okay, so here's a parabola, right? So a whole bunch of points in the parabola, like I'm drawing over here, and all these points have something in common. See, they have something in common. What they have in common is that the distance from, let's say, from focus to this particular point is the same as the distance from that point to the directrix, like this. And if you recall from geometry, the distance from a point to a line is measured by its perpendicular distance, like this. So this distance over here is going to be the same as this distance over here. Similarly, from focus to this point over here is going to be the same as from that point to the directrix, the perpendicular distance from that point to the directrix, like this. Okay, and in the like manner, if you were to go from focus to this point, or from focus to this point, right, or from focus to this point, or from focus to that point, from focus to this point, and from here to this point, this distance will be the same as this distance over here, and this distance will be the same as this distance over here, and similarly like this. Okay. So, and this is just I'm showing you on this side, and then we could go also on the other side and pick a point over here. Let's say we pick this point over here. From focus to this point, and from that point to the directrix, this distance will be equal to this distance over here. And this distance will be the same as this distance over here. And so we're going to run out of symbols. This distance is going to be the same as this distance over here. This one is going to be the same as this one over here, etc. Okay, so a parabola, therefore, is defined using two separate things. First, it's defined using this point called the focus, and it's defined using this line called the directrix. Okay, now we can define a parabola, see? So here it is. A parabola is a set of all points, so it's a set of all points because they're infinite sets, a set of points, like an infinite number of points over here. It's a set of all points that are equidistant. Okay, they're equidistant. Equidistant from whom? They're equidistant from a point called the focus and a line called the directrix. Okay, so the key element of definition of a parabola is the focus and is this line, the directrix. So a parabola is a set of all points that are equidistant from focus and the a line called the directrix. So if you want to draw a parabola, first you have to place the focus in the line, and then you collect all, and if you were to collect all points that are equidistant from the focus and that point, then you would generate a parabola. Okay, so that is the definition of a parabola. A parabola is a set of all points that are equidistant from a focus called from a point called the focus and a line called the directrix, and that is very important to appreciate and remember, inshallah. Now, how do we find, if you're given an equation of a parabola, a function that describes the parabola, how do you find the focus and the standard directrix? Well, what we have to appreciate is the focus and the vertex, so the distance between the focus and the vertex, and from the vertex to the directrix are related. Okay. Now, since the focus and the from the focus to the vertex and the vertex to the directrix, okay, these distances, okay, they're given name. Different textbooks call them differently. Our textbooks call this distance P, and that distance, let's call it on this side, this distance, let's call it P, and from the vertex to the directrix, that's also going to be P. All right, so the distance from the vertex to the focus and from the vertex to the directrix is the same, and that is P. And if we knew this this P over here, this distance, and if we knew the vertex, then we could find this ordered pair that corresponds to the focus, and we can find therefore easily the equation of the directrix. And that actually is easy enough to find because the P is related to the A in the equation of equations of the parabola. So in fact, A is 1 over 4P. So this A that we find in the equation of the parabola is used to find this distance P. And once you find P, then it is very easy to find the focus and the directrix. Now, sometimes this is written as absolute value of A is equal to 1 over 4P because P is a distance, right? Depending on this, but the parabola is going to be positive or negative. So it doesn't really matter to me as long as you appreciate the value that you use A to find P, and A is 1 over 4P. Okay, so now this is really the one major new thing that we learned about parabolas, besides the definition which I have outlined here. As a review, we have defined today parabola. Parabola is a set of all points. It's a set of all points, okay, that are equidistant from a point that we call the focus and from a line that we call the directrix. And that we have to appreciate, and we also have to appreciate that the focus is also equidistant from the vertex, which is a point on the parabola. So, and from the distance from the parabola to the focus is P, and from the vertex to the focus is P, and from the vertex to the directrix is P. Inshallah, after a brief pause, we shall elaborate on this by doing some examples. Until next time, assalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi. Assalamu alaikum.